Yo, what is good? It is Thursday night, and that means collecting uncensored. And tonight's guest is like really doesn't need any kind of introduction or anything like that. He is a staple in this comic book community, a freaking big time a YouTuber that I look up to and really enjoy his content. I enjoy his relationship that he has with his kids. To give you a hint at the person that's bringing you on here, big time X-Men fan. His CBC awards nominated several times over with another fantastic YouTuber, and just all around awesome collector of like more than just comic books and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm so super excited to bring on John's Comics with Kids.
The mustache. Yes. Sorry, I got to get going. We
got
a lot of comics. We got to get through. We got lots of comics here. Lots of Storm. Lots of X-Men. We're just gonna keep going all the way through. Don't slow down for anything. I got more Storm. I got lots of Storm.
Peace Momoko, really? Oh, DNA, yes. Oh, double up on the DNA.
Triple up, baby.
What?
Triple up. All of them. You got some signatures. Come on,
bro. That needs to be in a yellow label. Like, what are you doing?
Sorry, I got excited. I don't want to get too excited too early.
No, you're good. You're good. It's fantastic. What's going on, man?
Not much, brother. I've had the last couple of days off. I told you offline that I had a little oral surgery the last couple of days and been recovering, but I'm pill popping. I'm ready to just be crazy. John AF tonight.
Yes. Nice. Let your hair down.
Right? What little I got left.
Right? Cool. Let's see, I had something else to ask you, and then I forgot all about it now.
See? I already distracted. That's what I do.
Right? Just
all this distraction.
Fantastic. Oh, man. All right. Well, cool. We'll start off like we do all the time, and that's with, collectors can be anything, pretty much. They can be cover collectors. They can be cover, like run fillers, run collectors, character collectors, keys, slabs, all the things. What kind of collector do you see yourself as, especially in this time in your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question because I do feel like, to your point, like it changes and it evolves. And, I got my first comics back in the, mid 80s when I was a kid. And I feel like over the years, it's always kind of evolved. But I think I'm a reader first and foremost. I think,
nice.
Some of the first omnis that I ever bought, sorry, I got more comics behind me here. How'd that work out? Yeah.
Yes.
I definitely buy omnis because I like to read and I like to have those stories. This is the third volume from the Jeff Johns Green Lantern omnibus.
That's crazy.
These are incredible. These are like Immortal Hulk size. They're just massive. And there are three of them to do that whole Johns era, which is superb. If you've never read it, if you're a Green Lantern noob, you've never tried it out, definitely worth the time. Great artwork, incredible stories, lots of great character arcs going on in here. I love me some Sinestro Corps War, love me some Blackest Night.
That's what I was gonna say. That's got I assume that has Blackest Night and Brightest Day in it.
Yes, yeah, it's the entire run that he wrote. So any of the stuff that he wrote, it's in there.
Nice.
Now it doesn't have, I know he also was kind of writing Green Lantern Corps at the same time. It doesn't have some of those issues, but I have the singles for that. So you kind of plug them in when there's an event, wherever they go.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely reader first. And that kind of, the runs I've collected, it's because I love those stories. The slabs or the keys I've collected, it's because I love reading those characters. And it's always reading kind of first for me.
I got you. What do you like? Just getting lost in the story? Is that what it is? Or
I think maybe. I mean, certainly comics is an escapism. It's definitely a chance to disappear into that far corner of whatever universe you're getting into. But I for me, the reading is usually characters. Like I just get into that situation that they're in. I connected to Kitty Pryde really when I was a kid. reading her as
Really?
like the young kid at the X-Men, or those New Mutants when they came on the scene and they were the new kids on the campus. Like I wanted to be a kid on that campus. I wanted to
Yeah.
be like going to those classes, then afternoon fighting a sentinel, and then going and playing softball with the original team or whatever. Like I wanted to be that. That's the life I wanted to live.
Yeah.
I just was obviously daydreaming my way through by watching Sam Guthrie or Kitty Pryde or whoever get a chance to do it, you know.
Right. Did you ever latch on to somebody like Spider-Man then? Because a lot of
I
people
did.
say that like Spider-Man's kind of, reminds them.
He's a gateway drug
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
comics for a lot of people. I think Bruce Wayne and Peter Parker are like that. It's funny because the Spider-Man that I got into was a little earlier in the run. Where did I put them? Here they are. It was because of this
Oh,
era.
nice.
And a lot of the original trades that I had for Spider-Man were the death of Gwen Stacy centric. They focused on this sort of 120s era.
Yeah.
When I bought my first slabs, my wife was like, these are books you really wanted. So for Father's Day, she got me these twins, which Spider-Man homies will recognize. You got to get these together.
Nice.
Not only
Nice.
they were submitted by the same guy, so the CGC numbers are concentric. Like it's the one and then the next number. The numbers on the slabs are one and then the next. It was
Wow.
crazy. So when he was selling these, the guy that was selling these, I was like, yeah, I'll take both. Let's just make we're not going to separate the twins. Don't separate those twins. But it was also the name, right? So my full name is John Jameson, which that is J. Jonah Jameson's actual name. He's John. And his son, the Man Wolf, is also John Jameson, the Man Wolf. So
Okay.
I before I knew what John Jameson's whiskey was, I knew that John Jameson was the badass with the cool jewelry, always beating the snot out of Spider-Man. So
I didn't realize he was Man Wolf. That's cool.
yeah. So this is J. Jonah Jameson's son. This is his second appearance and origin in this issue here. His first appearance is the one right before it, 124. Again, that whole run of 120s from, I think 120 is I can't remember. 120 is like a Hulk story. And then 129 is the first Punisher. And in between, you get the death of Gwen Stacy, the death of Green Goblin, the first appearance of the Man Wolf. There's a ton of great stuff going on in there. That run of 100 in the 120s of ASM.
Yeah. Nice.
So this was in 1973. Johnny wasn't born yet, but I found a bunch of trades that collected this when I was a kid, and I read those till they fell apart. I loved reading those stories.
Awesome.
But
awesome.
I don't love the current stuff of Spider-Man, so I've fallen off in a big way, and I read more Miles these days than I read Parker Spider-Man, but that's just me.
I feel like Miles is pretty solid. Like, I even enjoy Miles, which is, that says a lot because I'm not a Spidey fan. But.
Well, it's the same with Batman. As much as they were gateway drugs for me in a lot of ways, I like the surrounding characters more than the hero themselves. So, like, give me the Robins or Catwoman or any of the villains in the Rogues Gallery before Batman. I like those characters a lot more.
I feel like that's kind of a big thing with the movies. I feel like the villain makes way more of an impact on whether or not, a movie is good, honestly,
for sure,
than the hero does. Like, I know that, the Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan movies get like a lot of praise except for the last one. But, like, I really don't like Christian Bale as Batman, but the villains in that were fantastic,
they're
for
so
the most
strong.
part.
Yeah.
So,
great version of Scarecrow, great Ra's al Ghul. Even Bane, I think, looks really boss. They do a great job with Bane. A character that's kind of laughable. He's kind of a luchador if you really look at him. Like, he's kind of a laughable villain for Batman.
Right.
But they did a great job of making him seem scary.
I thought they did. I thought they did as well.
For sure.
Let's check out the chat, see what's going on here.
Yeah.
We got Nate with Hall Yeah Comics says hello to 22 and John, two wonderful humans. Well, thanks, Nate. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you, sir.
Bredazzle is in the house. She says hello. What's going on, Bredazzle? Thanks for coming out. Brian LCS says evening. What's going on, Brian?
He's had some great unboxings lately. He's got some great videos people should go check out.
Yes, yes. Brian all the time. Nate says took Green Lantern to a new level for sure.
Definitely.
I've been collecting that Darkest Night, or Dark
Blackest Night. Yeah,
Blackest Night. Thank you. In like floppy form, and
sure.
so I feel like I'm making a mistake though, and I may should just get an omnibus
I mean,
of it.
it's an epic story because you have so many crossovers, right? So many.
Yeah,
It was the entirety of DC's universe for a little while there. So yeah,
right.
lots to read, lots to catch. That's a challenge.
Well, because the other thing is that like I was collecting Flashpoint there for a
Mm.
bit too, so I have a ton of Flashpoint. But then I actually read Flashpoint and I was like, I don't like the story. I'm like, I have all
You
these books
started
now.
collecting it before you read it.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done that a couple times.
Magic Lasso in the house is going on. Hi everyone, I'm excited for the show. Comics with Kids is a great guest. Yes, he is. I 100% agree.
I talk to
Already.
Ryan Magic Lasso probably every other day at this point. Just
Nice.
he's one of the first people I dial from this community to chat on the phone. He's an amazing guy, and he's had two great AOK unboxings on his channel lately. Really cool. A friend from
What?
Brazil came to visit him and gave him all these amazing things.
Oh, cool. I'll have to
Yeah,
go check him out.
for sure.
He's here for the mustache, says Brian.
Fair.
Captain Comics is in the house. Ahoy, mateys and
Steve,
mermaids.
what's
What's going
going
on,
on, man?
Captain? Let's see. Let's see. Looking through. Everybody saying hey to each other. Magic Lasso had a question. What was it like seeing someone in a comic book with your name?
At first, it was weird because he was a bad guy, and then I realized that his dad with the weird Hitler mustache was also John Jameson. I was like, okay, this is a double whammy. But then I read some of his own. And if you guys have never read Creatures on the Loose, which is a really underrated late 70s, I want to say, early 80s run on Marvel, and they
Huh.
give the man wolf his own storyline, and he's kind of the main character. Really great stuff. It humanizes him and gives him like he's not, you know, Rhino or whatever, where he's just out to rob a bank and kill people. It's like he's clearly the anti-hero character, more like a Venom nowadays kind of thing.
Mm.
So that made me appreciate him a lot more. And then yeah, there's even a really great man wolf like complete collection trade paperback. Really
Oh,
cool
wow.
because it's got his first appearances. It's got that Creatures on the Loose run, and it jumps over to Marvel Premiere where they sent him into like outer space. He was like a space, I don't know, like sword fighting bad hero in
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. I always thought that Marvel Premiere was his first appearance. I didn't realize that. Did it change to a different character, or was it?
No, it just changed his trajectory from villain to, gave him a chance to be a hero, not
Hmm.
just be the guy struggling with a new ability and not really finding his place, to being like, no, we're gonna give him like it's a werewolf in outer space. Like, let's give him his own heroic kind of buck wild John Carter from Mars kind of story.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Christina Payne is in the house. What's going on, lady? Thanks for coming out. Of course,
Award-winning
Cliff on
moderator.
comics. Oh, you're right.
Cliff,
Right.
what's up?
Cliff's in the house. What's going on, Cliff? Much love back. I think we're caught up with people. Cool. Cool.
Yes, sir.
So X-Men, Kitty Pryde. Is that your
Yep.
favorite character then?
Come on, man. Come on, man. I mean, you saw the Nakayama love right off the bat. Let's get real. There is one goddess when it comes to X-Men, and I like Kitty. I wanted to be Kitty. I wanted to do other things with Storm. Storm, and I'm just gonna keep holding up books when we talk about her. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Come
'Cause
on.
I got all the variants. Whether I've read them or not, but I've read most of them. Storm, when I came into reading the X-Men, she was the leader, right?
Okay.
She was the one in charge, and I was like, yes, I love the way her characterization is so mature. She's capable. She's sympathetic to other people and their issues, the challenges that they're facing. She's just got all the qualities of leadership that you really want to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
On top of which, she looks great in all colors. You know, it doesn't matter. This
Trade dress or not.
doesn't matter. You don't. Yeah, you put her in a card. Doesn't matter. It's all good. Uh, I think she's a character that is often reinventing herself, and not she's not perfect by any means. She's just making it work. If you like Art Adams style, we got
Oh yeah, that's an awesome one. I like that one.
all the Art Adams. Just get all of them in all the different versions. All the Art Adams. Maybe you like Stephanie Hans. She did a great variant for the book that's coming out this week. All the Stephanie Hans variants, you got those. Or Boss Logic, even in the Ultimate Black Panther series. You got the Boss Logic. So for me, that was the character that I felt like I would follow her into battle, right? I wanted to see a team book where the leader, I don't want to hate Cyclops, but I'm going to throw a little shade his way. I do think he's made some really questionable choices over the years, and he can be such a Boy Scout where he has no willingness to see the gray of life and the reality of the world.
Yeah.
And Storm, here's a kid that grew up orphaned and then was a pickpocket living on the streets and had this incredible ability to like be considered a goddess among her people, but wasn't using it or abusing it, but was instead trying to just help, water the plants and keep people alive in the dry months in her civilization. So what a great role model character. And then, of course, goes on to just be someone who, despite all of her amazing abilities, never looks down on anybody, never judges anybody, but instead is always trying to just lead and inspire. So, yeah. Superman is a way better Boy Scout than Cyclops. Superman is a great listener, great leader, and Cyclops, I think, fumbles this a lot because he gets distracted by redheads, like many of us do. You can get distracted by redheads. Cyclops is doing that a lot, and by telepaths. He's very distracted by telepaths. I don't know who's brave enough to date telepathic women, but he's done it many times.
But is it because he's brave, or is it because he's stupid?
It's because there's not a lot of layers to be deceiving. He doesn't have the intelligence to just ever deceive anybody. He's one layer deep. That's all he is. There's no lying there.
Have you read any of when Storm became T'Challa's wife? Have you read any of that?
I did. Yeah, I like Black Panther as well. I think he's a great Marvel character. I don't know that I like them together. I think it was even in the comics, it was a marriage of convenience in a lot of ways, and not one of true love. And in some ways, it was just white people saying, like, "Hey, we got two African characters. Maybe we should have them get married." Like, there wasn't a lot of like story built around it. It was the Rex Hudlin era of Black Panther, which is a decent era, and there's some really great artwork going on in that time as well. But in the end, I think Marvel dropped the ball with it. And then there was some story where like T'Challa was cheating on her, and it just got weird. And of course, the marriage just fell apart at that point.
Yeah.
Kind of a shame.
Did you see the story though when T'Challa was like pretty much on the brink of death? Shuri was taking over as the Black Panther. Have you read that?
I've read some of it. I don't know that I've read all of it.
See that story, to me, the T'Challa Storm like relationship was the absolute best part of that story out of the whole lot of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it.
What did you like about it?
Because their relationship actually did seem somewhat genuine in that.
The way she was caring for him and he for her kind of stuff.
Right, and she went into the land of the dead to like go and retrieve him.
Right,
and
that I remember.
And she was going to sacrifice herself, and he was adamant that she wasn't going to do that. Like they were caring for each other, and they were relying on each other to survive to get out of there.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it didn't take up most of the story was about Shuri becoming the Black Panther, but it was just not good, and it was not landing for me. It was that I actually enjoyed.
The other side is what you were interested in.
Sure. Yeah.
I know there was a bit in there. One storyline I loved in that run was by Jason Aaron. He did a 3-issue storyline in the middle of Secret Invasion. right? The
Okay.
Skrulls were trying to take over everything, and they were in hiding all around Marvel's universe. You didn't realize that your best friend had been a Skrull all along, kind of a thing.
Right.
But they had not been able to infiltrate Wakanda because the Wakandan technology was so advanced that the Skrulls couldn't get in there, and so they had to invade, like legit army invade.
Oh wow.
And the storyline is 3 issues, and it's called "See Wakanda and Die," and it's all about how the Wakandans draw a line in the sand and basically Storm and T'Challa basically kill all the Skrulls. They're like, it's really violent. It's really great. Lots of twists. But it's just 3 issues. Jason Aaron crushes it. So yeah, if you find those 3 issues, they're always dollar books. They're not anything where there's a spec on it or anything. And it's called See Wakanda and Die. It's
I
great.
must. I have to write that down,
Yeah.
and I must find that now because Jason Aaron's my guy.
He,
So
he's great, and he has not really done much with Black Panther or outside of the Avengers, obviously, and Storm. So this was a great like little 3 issue. He just jumped in and did this in the midst of the Secret Invasion. You can probably find it on the app if anybody's reading digitally on the app. You'd be able to find it.
yeah.
Oops, sorry, keep my camera.
Don't tear stuff up, jeez.
I got so many comics. I'm so excited.
All right, let's say hello to Agu right here. He's in the house. What's going on, man? Thanks for coming out. Appreciate you. You've answered some of the questions. I think actually all the questions that have been presented in the chat so far. Brother John's in the house as well. What's going on, man? Appreciate you.
We are John
Cool.
AF. So good. I love it.
Awesome. All right, so Storm is your lady,
Yeah.
and because of her leadership, you like her leadership over
Yeah,
Cyclops. Yeah.
my wife made a funny joke because I was watching Jackie Brown, the movie, the other day,
Okay.
and I was, scoping out Pam Grier, who is stunning, and my wife's like, "Why didn't you marry a black lady?" And I was like, "Look, it's not race. It's not a skin color attraction. It's just I like strong ladies. Pam Grier's a boss, not that shallow. I'm slightly shallow, but I'm not that shallow. So yeah,
Not
my
that
wife
shallow.
had me laughing. She was like,
That's
I
funny.
see the way you're looking at Pam Grier, John. You need to like pump the brakes, buddy." Pam Grier, by the way, in the 70s would have made the perfect Storm casting. I'm just gonna say it right there.
Cool. Who do you have any picks for? Are you excited to see Storm come back now? And do you have any picks?
I'm very excited. It depends on obviously the age they want her to be when they bring her in, but I'm a big Janelle Monet, I think is how you say her name. She was in the movie Hidden Figures, the movie about the women who worked at NASA. Where Kevin Costner was like the head of the maths department of NASA.
Yeah.
At the time, like in the character he played. And she played Janelle Monet played one of the 3 ladies that were working at NASA. She is gorgeous. She's also a singer. She's got an amazing voice, but she would be my pick if you were going to do one that was like an adult.
Yeah. What'd you think of the recent one that was a younger version?
I
I know we didn't see much of her, but
yeah, I think it was and those movies were starting to wear a little thin, and I think they were just trying to cram a lot of stuff in, and nothing really got enough time to really be of use. I don't even know that I loved the Halle Berry one, but it was passable. It was fine.
yeah,
I think we've yet to get a definitive version of the X-Men as a cinematic, sort of live action thing.
yeah.
Obviously, the 80s, the original comic show, so good. The cartoon's so great.
Right.
But I don't. As much as I liked Hugh Jackman, and of course Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are phenomenal. Like just all day, give those guys whatever they want. I think that the X-Men universe is still kind of untapped as far as what it could be on screen.
No, I 100% agree. 100% agree. So it seems that you're a cover lover as well, especially when it comes to Storm.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there any other covers though that just grab you that you're like, I've got to have this?
I'm a Nakayama slut. Like give me all the Nakayama, and it's gotten so bad. It's gotten so bad that when I see him at cons, he knows my name. Like he says hi to me. Like he says hi to me. He's like, "John, and I saw him at San Diego Comic-Con this last year, and he was signing stuff, so I didn't want to distract him, but his handler guy, really friendly guy that I've talked to a bunch, was guiding me through. I was going to get this print and I was going to buy some stuff. And then I bought it, and David finished it, and he goes, "Hey John, thanks for coming." He's like, "No, I would have given you that stuff. You don't have to pay for any of it." And, he was like, and the handler was like, "Don't say that. Don't say that." So like, I absolutely love Nakayama, and I get suckered into all his stuff. Here's the only one I bought as a 9/8.
Oh, nice.
He did an homage to the first appearance of Poison Ivy, and he did
fantastic.
He did it for her new current run, right? The ongoing run right now. I just love the way he did this. I love that it's Damian Robin.
Yes.
But like, I don't. Do I have? Yeah, of course I have the actual.
Oh, nice.
First appearance of Poison Ivy. You can kind of see the design, but of course he kept the checkerboard. He kept the sort of Batman logo, the red and white stripes, but of course gave her. She's got hips now, and she's popping them, and he definitely took it up a notch. But I saw this coming before the book came out. He was publishing it on his Instagram, letting people know, and I was like, okay, I'm going to pre-order a 9/8 slab, and I've never done it before or since, but I was like, I gotta have this. I gotta have this.
That's fantastic.
So,
and they both earned this, by the way.
Holy crap!
I'm just saying that, especially that Poison Ivy and a freaking blue label. It's always missing that poster, like that right there.
So I'm a little bit messed up because I have 3 of these. And the other 2 are raw, and one has the poster and one doesn't. Yeah, this is we're getting John AF right now, Marcus. You better get ready. Everybody knows. Perry knows. That's Perry's new channel. If you guys don't know.
Oh, okay, comic book. Okay,
it's really good, and he's been making great new comic book day videos lately. He dropped one a day. Worth
awesome. I'm gonna have to go check it out. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I got 2 raw copies in a deal where I purchased a lot of comics from a guy at my LCS. But
okay.
I wanted a slab to go with it, so I ended up buying. So now I got 3. I got 3. I'm kind of an idiot about bat villains, especially the hotties.
That's funny. All right, let's shout some folks out real quick. We got Cliff saying "Storm, storm, storm." Right
there, it is.
Appreciate you, Magic Lasso. That's awesome. I'm pretty excited about that.
Really close. If you guys aren't subscribed, you somehow followed me over here like an idiot. Definitely do the smarter thing and subscribe. Make sure you're following. Hit the notification bell.
Well, thank you, John. Appreciate that. Kenneth Bird in the house. What's going on, homie? Appreciate you. We got Perry, like you said earlier. He's in here with his new channel. Go check him out. Comic Lore. Marcus, Circumstances in the house. What's going on, man?
He's always making trouble.
Roscoe, what's going on? He says, "Hey, everyone. I hope you are all doing well this evening." Roscoe's awesome.
He's amazing. He's donated a bunch of artwork to causes that I've been championing over the last few years, and always, giving away what he does and works so hard for. Such a great guy.
Yeah, 100. Marcus, I prefer my John the same way he prefers his Crocs in AF mode.
Got to be ready. That's what Crocs are for. Action Crocs.
Oh, thank you, Roscoe. Appreciate that. Well, I was watching one of your streams earlier today with you and No Good Comics, and y'all are starting to venture into New Mutants. Are you more of a New Mutant fan than you are an X-Men fan?
I don't think it's possible to be more of an I like New Mutants, but I love Uncanny X-Men. I think has always been my jam. You asked something I think early on in when you were giving me like some of the topics, I was like favorite writers. I know that Claremont has aged.
Yeah.
But for me, like so much of his early stuff still hits the same way for me. And there are issues that I think are my all-time favorite comics, and his fingerprints are all over it. Now, he is obviously the writer for most of the New Mutants run, and that's the stuff that I love the most. I know he doesn't get to introduce Cable or Deadpool or any of those characters, but You get into the Demon Bear stuff. You get into the Bill Sienkiewicz artwork. Yeah, I think you
Right.
really find that run finds its groove and is something special. But
Okay.
again, yeah, you can't beat. So the era when I started reading Uncanny was this era. This
Nice.
was like John Romita was just sort of coming back, and they were doing the Marauders Massacre stuff, and Wolverine was beating the snot out of Sabretooth, and just the covers were usually blood red, and there was always somebody getting stabbed. That was the
Yeah.
stuff that when I started reading it, in the mid '80s, that's when I started reading that stuff. Love
Okay.
that run, and so, and this was always the book, gang.
Oh, nice.
I know that everybody's now a Giant Size X-Men fan, but this was always the book that meant more to me, which was the first issue that Claremont wrote, because he didn't write Giant Size X-Men. Len Wein was working on that one, but yeah, this was the first Claremont writing and getting credit on the title. Love it.
Oh, wow.
All
Nice.
day.
So you're showing off a lot of slabs.
I'm going, yeah, it's easier to get those out based on where my collection is. Harder to get the raw books out.
Well, no. So I'm good with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm good with it. I'm just curious because you are a reader.
Yeah.
I just wasn't expecting a lot of slabs coming from a reader, and so like obviously you have no issues with slabs. But why, why do you get slabs?
It depends. Like sometimes it's because I want it to be. I want to be aware, like you're saying with that Poison Ivy book. Is it complete? Does it have the poster in the middle? Is there any changes? Did somebody edit the book in some way? Has it been in any way modified? So with older books, Silver Age and I've got a couple of Golden Age books, but not many. For that kind of stuff, I want to know how is it? Like in what condition is it in accurately?
Yeah.
For newer stuff, I'm not a grade snob, so I'm not like, oh, I got to get 9/8 of everything or whatever. I've got plenty of 9/6s and 9/2s of like modern books where like that's a $30 book. It's not an expensive comic, but for whatever reason, I was like, oh, I can't resist. It's $30. I'm going to buy that book. I'm going to get that. There's only been a few times when it was like, I need to get a 9/8 of something. It's just not my common attitude there. So I've got them right here. Somewhere near me. Yeah. I've got a problem. I mean, so it was this run.
Yes.
This was the right time for me when I was collecting. I even had like a Secret Wars card game and action figures and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I've gone and gotten. I have all 12 issues in a 9/8.
Wow.
Yeah, including my favorite cover, which is the Doom one. I love
Yes.
this Doom cover. But one of the reasons I made sure I didn't get newsstands, and I don't know if people talk about this enough, which is like I love seeing Spider-Man's, where is it? His face in the corner box art go from the white suit to the black suit. I just love seeing that evolution for him. And if you're getting all newsstands, you're going to miss out on that. So it's one of the rare times when I'm like, I don't care if there's more newsstands or there's more, direct editions. Like I want the direct editions. I want to see Spidey's face all the way across.
I never thought about this, but did 252 have the black Spider-Man face on it? Or was it Secret Wars 8?
The corner box on that one is he's in the upper corner, like in the corner box art up there, and he's in the black suit, I think, in that one. Then there's one earlier where it's like a split. It's like you see a white, the red and the black. So I can't remember what issue that is. It's not 252, and it's not the Marvel team up. It's like an earlier issue. They were teasing that he was on his way, kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of wonder, like I don't even know, collectors get all crazy about certain things. I'm not saying you would or anything like that, but I never thought about it before about how that corner box on Secret Wars 8 could be the first like full time you get the Spidey Blackhead, and I'm sure they did it more times after that.
Obviously Secret Wars came out because of the publishing backlog. It came
Right.
out like 5 months after 252, and the problem was they pimped this idea of like, ooh, Secret Wars, and then they couldn't get the work done in time, right?
Right.
So by then everybody was like, oh, we've already seen the black suit Spider-Man, we just want to see how he got it, like how did he get the suit, kind of a thing.
Right.
And there is one of the issues, and I can't remember which one, where it has one of those corners has the full suit, like Spidey's crawling.
Yeah.
The other ones are all just his head, but one of the 12 issues has like the full suit Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into some more now. Now I'm like interested in this because, like, I don't know. It's just it seems like an odd thing that nobody's ever talked about.
And I love that artwork by Zach. I think his covers are unbelievable. And then his interior art, still gets me all pumped up. I know that the story has elements I don't like. I'm not a big Wasp fan, and I don't think that Janet is a very interesting character. They kind of really don't need her there at all. And then I think the X-Men are not really used very well, except for Colossus. He gets a kind of cool story, but the rest of the team kind of isn't important in being there. Magneto, he gets some cool stuff to do. So as an X-Men fan, I was like, all right. But as an Avengers fan, I was like, dude, Hulk is picking up a mountain over here, and Captain America's fighting with a broken shield. Like, this is dope.
When did you become an Avengers fan?
I think it was probably Secret Wars that did it.
Okay.
And then when they came back, I was reading the run. I was collecting the run at that time. So they had Monica Rambeau was the team leader. She was Captain Marvel. She was before she was Photon. She was Captain Marvel.
Right.
So I loved her. She was in it. She-Hulk was in and out. Thor was in and out. Hercules was cool in there, and Cap came in and out. He was in his own book for most of the time. But there was a really good, cool team, and they were always fighting the Wrecking Crew, and that was I enjoyed the ton of those issues in that run, and then it led into even because it was not long after that the team found Jean Grey at the bottom of the ocean, and then brought in the Fantastic Four, and they broke open the cocoon and brought her out, and then it was X Factor right after that,
Yeah.
So I was like, oh sweet, now my chocolate and my peanut butter are getting mixed together. I got my Avengers and my X-Men. It's all happening.
What did you think of that split? Like when we get to the giant size X-Men and you get the new X-Men come in, and I know Claremont's, obviously your favorite. That's who you're talking about. So do you prefer that team because it's Claremont writing over the original?
I do. I think the editorial has always been the biggest hurdle at any of the big two, and they are very restrictive with how you can play with the toys in the sandbox. And, I think writers are often talking about what they can and can't do. Claremont said, oh, they wouldn't let me make Mystique gay. Like I had to just talk around it. I wasn't allowed to say it.
Yeah.
And in the case of the original team, of course they had to be a bunch of white kids. you couldn't have any, mixed race kids at the school. They all had to be white. They all had to have like an Archie style of like, a bunch of goofy boys, and they all had crushes on the same girl, and the girl is the only one on the team that they all think she's cute. Even Professor Xavier in one of the early issues, like 2 or 3, says, I can't tell Jean how much I love her. Like he's crushing on her too in a weird, creepy teacher way.
Right.
It was an awkward kind of like, I don't even call it a triangle. It was like a love octagon at that point. It was weird. Everybody crushed on Jean. And I think as a result, those early issues are not a lot of fun to read. I mean, I think Stan Lee, bless him, is a big idea guy, and he had great ideas. And that universe is what gave Claremont the ability to run with it, right?
Yeah.
So I bless him for his ideas. I just don't know that I love Stan Lee as an actual script writer, and the dialogue that can come out of his stuff is somewhat clunky at times for me.
Got you. Do you prefer to read like singles or trade omnibus style or digitally? or can you do all of them and you just kind of interchange?
I do all of them. I definitely use all of them. I've got the Marvel app and I read a ton on there. And then of course I've got Omnis and I read single issues when the new stuff comes out. But if my preference is probably a trade paperback or a complete collection trade paperback, because it's big enough that it has like a full story in it, but small enough that I can like not be crushed under its weight while I'm trying to read in bed or something. Hard to read an omnibus laying down. It's not really what it was meant for.
Yeah.
So that's the trickiest part. I love having the omnibus and that full story in one place, but it's not the easiest thing to read unless you're sitting at a table or you're sitting on a couch or something. Versus a trade paperback. Some of those complete collection, like I have there's a whole run of Daredevil that I love that went from Bendis and then to Brubaker and then to Mark Waid, which is like the back to back of that. And it even started with a really great Joe Quesada, Kevin Smith, David Mack run. So from issue 1 all the way through to the end of Mark Waid, I think that's some of the best Daredevil reading, and you can get them in these great complete collection trades that are really fun to read. And I probably read them 4 times, each, and they're just a lot of fun and they're easy to pack, easy to carry around.
And it's like and that volume particular, because that's like volume 2. That's where like Echo comes in, and you get Lady Bullseye at the end of it, and Shadowlands at the very, very end of it, and all that jazz. Black Panther takes over at the very end.
Good
and like
memory.
The artwork is solid all the way through.
Yeah, even when you get into the Mark Waid obviously wanted to do something very different, so his tone is a little lighter, and Chris Samney comes in doing the artwork, and his style is a little more cartoony, but it's a lot of fun. I was into the the kind of heaviness of the Bendis and Brubaker kind of dreary, almost Miller-esque inspired kind of Daredevil stuff, but then it was a fun trade of pace. When you get into that Waid and Samney era, is a lot of fun.
And some awesome David Mack covers in there too.
I mean, all the way through, he has great artwork. He's one of the coolest, nicest guys. I got that Wonder Woman print from him, signed by him at San Diego Comic-Con like 2-3 years ago. And just the nicest guy. Amazing.
Oh, that's cool. I like hearing like stories like that.
Yeah, those kind of creators that are just always at conventions, always nice to their fans, always good, like friendly to talk to. He even donated a bunch of his artwork to the Heroes for Heroes Mission 22 auction that we were doing the last couple of weeks to support veterans. He donated pieces at a huge discount so that we could sell them for people. It's amazing. Yeah, nice. Ryan, look, she's right there. Always, all these amazing ladies right behind me. It's somewhat metaphorical, you could argue, because I got Catwoman, I got Poison Ivy, I got where is she? Wonder Woman, I got Storm, I got Jean Grey, and they're all around my dick. That's Dick Grayson right there. Sorry, I just went a little John AF there at the end. That's the punchline I've always got for that. I'm like, what? Why did you lay it out that way?
That's
sorry about that.
Fantastic.
It's my guy. That's my guy, Dick. There he is.
Well, so we've talked a lot of Marvel. Yeah. So let's talk about your dick. What is it about Dick Grayson?
I think it's kind of like the the Kitty Pryde thing. I didn't want to be Batman because he gets the crap beat out of him. I wanted to be Robin and like get to make jokes and hang out in the Batcave with Alfred, and then of course they kill a Robin, and it kind of ruined that journey for me a little bit. It's like, oh crap, maybe Robin can get the snot beat out of him too. This could be bad. But I did like the Bat family, right? Barbara Gordon was so cool. I thought she was a great character. I've liked all the Robins. I like Jason Todd better as Red Hood, but I think all the Robins have their own place and are kind of interesting. Alfred, what a great like father figure, role model character. So yeah, the Batman universe, as much as I'm like kind of bored with Batman because he's a one note hero.
Yeah.
The surrounding characters are wonderful because they tend to have more of the foibles of life, and they make mistakes and they have to deal with it. And, they're struggling with their own limitations. And then Batman never seems to fail. He's always rising to the top. So I tend to prefer those other characters. And hey, if you're an X-Men fan and not a DC fan, you need to go read the Wolfman Perez New Teen Titans, because it is basically the X-Men of DC. Like, it is so good. You have this amazing cast of characters, all different walks of life, all different experiences coming together, struggling with their abilities, new young leadership trying to make it work. And they're battling all these great DC villains. And the Perez artwork is phenomenal. Wolfman is a very similar writer to Claremont. I think he's got a lot of the same vibes. The difference is Wolfman and Perez got along really well, and John Byrne and Chris Claremont imploded pretty quickly. Wolfman Perez, and did I pull some of those? Yeah, I got the Wolfman Perez for you.
Yes,
of course I got this one.
Nice.
First appearance, right? And I've got several of the others, but I'm sorry that I pulled all the slabs, but I'm going to do more slabs.
No, you're good.
You gotta love the Deathstroke stuff. So
absolutely.
Cool. I'm a big Raven and Starfire fan. Those characters are awesome. Here's a great. It's even got the Perez face on it. This is a great cover. One of my favorites in that run. Perez so freaking talented. And then I had to get a Perez signature, so I saw this slab was like $20 somewhere, and I was like, I got a Perez signature. Got to do it. He was charging more than that at the end, like.
Right.
So I've got a Perez signature, at least in my collection. And I've met Wolfman a ton, because I don't know how many houses he has, but I know that one of them is in my area, and he tends to go to my LCS for signings a lot.
Cool.
And when he's there, my shop owner has him sign like anything that's his in the shop. So it's like all the trades that he worked on, he'll sign all of them, and then he'll put them back on the shelf at regular price, no increased price. So I always go in and I'll buy a New Teen Titans, another one of the complete New Teen Titans, because there's like 15 of them. They worked on it for so long. And I just keep adding them to the collection, all these Wolfman signatures. Really good people.
Magic Lasso says Perez donated the profits from his signings to charity. That's the type of guy he was.
And Wolfman did the same when I was at a con and I got some things signed by him. He was like, I'll just donate it to the Heroes Initiative, which is obviously a charity for supporting comic book creators later in life when they can't keep doing their art but need health coverage and all those kind of things.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, good. Those are two really quality people, Perez and Wolfman.
Sniff John's cork is in the house.
So for those that don't know this inside joke, when Old Wolf came to visit with me earlier in this year, I had joked about having a really nice bottle of whiskey that I was going to finish, and he's like, I just want the cork. Let me keep the cork so I can sniff it. And I videoed it and took pictures of him sniffing the cork, and then Perry made this YouTube channel so he can come in and say, "This sounds cork." He's one of those guys, man. He's just one of those guys. You can't stop.
That's fantastic. Phil's Treehouse is in here as well. What's going on, Phil? Appreciate you.
What's up, Phil? Hope you're doing well, buddy.
All right, so here's another question I got for you. I struggle sometimes with a book having kind of like a not interesting or a bad story. However, sometimes the artwork, if it's good, can keep me in it. But if the artwork's bad and the story's bad, it's just like I'm done. I'm just so done.
Paying for? Yeah.
Right. Do you ever have that where the artwork of a book will actually keep you in it, even though the story's not up to par?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because there's a McFarlane quote when he was talking about working at Image, and he was basically saying, like, look, I can sell a mediocre writing story with phenomenal art. Like I can sell that, but I can't sell a great written story with really mediocre art. Like he's like, I'm not going to try to sell that because this is a visual medium. And I could appreciate what he was trying to say, but I don't know that I agree. Like I'm a reader first, and oftentimes I will read the 2 pages and then go back and look at the artwork to see what it adds. But I know friends that are visual first, and they're looking at all the pictures and then going back and reading it. The fun of this medium is, I think, it allows for different ways of operating and different ways of getting into the story.
Right.
Know? So I think for me, I'm as a reader, I tend to be writer focused, and the words on the page tend to be the most important part for me. But the beauty of this medium is that those things have to work together, right? They have to work together. And the best artists in this medium are the ones who can tell a story with their pictures, panel to panel, so that I don't feel like I'm missing something. Oh, something happened there. I missed a page. Wait, what happened? If you get that sensation, that it's probably a bad artist who messed up in their storytelling, right? A good artist makes you feel like the movement is natural and you can tell progression from panel to panel, and you're following that story very fluidly. And I think that nowadays we have so many cover artists and not a lot of love for the people who can tell that story on the inside of the pages really effectively.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing a lot of judging a book by its cover.
I mean, yeah, right? As much as I love my Nakayama, you know, I think you got to also be able to look at the interior and be able to say, like, people like Dave Cockrum, who could tell amazing stories panel to panel. John Byrne, same idea. George Perez, we mentioned earlier. These are people who really had a skill at controlling the tempo of the story and being able to say, like, this action sequence needs a lot of cuts. It needs to have the really jumpy action. And then, no, I'm going to let it breathe here for a few panels and really let people talk. And I want them to understand the space of what's happening. I don't think Paul Smith gets enough love. He did a great run on Uncanny X-Men and really could tell without much dialogue, a panel to panel story. There's a knife fight between Storm and Callisto in the sewers of New York. And there's some of my favorite pages are the ones when Callisto is like, oh, I'm going to beat the crap out of Storm because nobody's allowed to use powers. It's just going to be a knife fight. And she throws this switchblade to Storm thinking like, oh, I'm going to hose this girl. And the panels are drawn in such a way that the blade flies through the air. And then it's like Storm's hand just goes whap. And she just catches it like midair and pops the blade. And she's like, I'm ready. And you're just like, oh, fuck, Callisto just messed up. She don't know. She don't know who she's messing with. She sees like this hoity-toity, oh, I live in a mansion woman and doesn't realize she's from the streets. Like she was a pickpocket. She uses switchblades like nobody's business. And then the knife fight goes for 3 or 4 pages. And it's like all the little spins and moves. And it's just like when Storm gives it to her and just finally stabs her right in the chest, it's like, oh, wow, what a really great sequence.
Nice.
Yeah, not super stylized and they don't get a ton of love. I mean, I think I pulled some of the Paul Smith stuff somewhere. I don't know where I put it now. Oh, here it is. I mean, Paul Smith, really just a great dynamic Uncanny X-Men artist. I love his style is very simplistic, and he just really captures the characters being very lean for the most part. He's got a very like lean style.
That's a cover swipe, isn't it?
I don't know if it is. I know that there's been a lot of those kind of covers. I know there's one with Cyclops holding Jean.
I think that's what I was
she
thinking
dies.
of, yeah.
It's there's a term for it because it's based on a sculpture. This famous sculpture of like I think Mary holding Jesus after he's died. It's this like classic sculpture. And so that style of cover, which has been repeated many times, I think is named after the sculptor of that painting. I'm struggling to remember.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Oh, Pietà. It's called a Pietà cover. And the concept of one character holding another who is seemingly dying, right?
Yeah.
That imagery is from that sculpture.
Okay. Cool.
I think those are the ones I got. Sorry. Yeah. So there you go. I got a few Paul Smiths for you. I was ready.
Awesome. Good deal. I was going to let you show some more books. I know I've been hitting you with a lot of questions, so and I know you said
I got a lot of
a
them.
ton of books. That's what I was going to say. You said you had a ton. So
I had
yes.
Silvestri, one of my favorite underappreciated X-Men artists. I think his covers and his interior, because he did covers and interiors, really just he's a boss. One of my favorite. I love the underappreciated. I mean, Byrne is obviously incredible. Jim Lee is obviously out of the park, but I think Silvestri and Paul Smith just as capable and really quality, and they don't get the same kind of love.
Right.
If you want cover artists and interior artists, I think the best guy I've ever seen in the Silver Age. I know Jack Kirby gets his love. I'm not as big a Jack Kirby fan as I am of Nick Cardy. And this,
Yes.
for me, Nick Cardy is the Silver Age. I think his Aquaman run is wild. I don't even read Aquaman, but if I see these books for a reasonable price, I'm like, yeah, I'll buy these.
Oh
They're,
yeah,
the
absolutely.
artwork is just absolutely phenomenal. The motion, the movement, everything seems to have gravity and weight to it. The colors are obviously really fun and strong. This gives me like Steranko, Nick Fury vibes. Oh,
Yeah.
here's the one everybody loves to see.
Yes, I love that cover.
It's so freaking great, right?
Oh yeah, it's like the trade
Unbelievable.
dress, the angles, the
Yeah.
him holding it, like
The color work.
everything about it.
Yeah,
Second appearance of Black Manta as well, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
you're
no, that's a
right.
fantastic book.
So just a lot of fun. I think Nick Cardy, Jack Kirby gets a ton of love because he was also a great creator who created just obviously huge worlds at Marvel and huge worlds at DC. But
Yeah.
I think Cardy, because it was Aquaman, probably doesn't get the same love. Although he also did a bunch of the original Teen Titans run, not the new
Mm.
Teen Titans. He did the original run, which was a great series of books as well, and I have a few of those as well. So when I
Was
see
that
those Nick Cardy covers, I snag some of those.
was that part of the Brave? Like, did he do some of the Brave and the Bold stuff, or
He did,
was it
yeah.
like
I think
after
he
the Brave
did.
and
It
the
was
Bold?
after the Brave and the Bold, but I think he did some of the Brave and the Bold stuff too, if I'm not mistaken. Although
Okay.
I'm sure Magic Lasso could probably correct us all in the chat. But we got Side Quest. What's going on, Eric?
Yes, Eric is in the house. Says, "Hey guys, great books, John. One of my favorite DC books."
And I don't think it gets talked about enough. I mean, I'm happy to hold up Kirby books all the live long day. Like I'm happy to throw
Yes.
Kirby around because he's obviously so iconic. But I just don't think I don't think Cardi gets the same amount of love, and he's, in my opinion, an even better artist. But that's just
Holy crap!
worthy.
Yes.
Agreed. So there's at least some Nick Cardy love for those people that say I'm just a Marvel guy. There's some DC love.
Well, I think like Aquaman gets like nobody cares about Silver Age Aquaman at all. It's a shame, honestly. Like I don't stand, I guess.
There's only two books that seem to have any real value for fans. It's like Mira and Black Manta, and that's it. The first appearances are the only. Other than that, the books are very reasonably priced for Silver Age books of that quality. It's shocking to me how cheap they are.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Western Golden Age. Like nobody cares about that.
Right? For sure.
Aqua Bro's cheap to collect.
Eric knows, man. Eric knows.
I love the issue where Aquaman and Mira wed. I should check that out. I haven't seen that one.
And at the the Silver Age, I think it was still Silver Age when Kirby was doing Mr. Miracle. A lot of that stuff I really love too, and I've got a handful of those issues, including the wedding of Big Barda and Mr. Miracle, which is like I think issue 25 or something. It's the finale. There's a lot of great covers and art in that stuff too. So it's not just Cardi, but I think there's some really great Silver Age guys that get overlooked, like him.
What year do you prefer to collect?
It's tough, man, because I was on a show talking about this once, and they said their question was what is your favorite era to read, and I said modern because I think I just connect to modern writers best of all. But as far as collectability, I think you tend to collect. I mean, I tended to collect my entry point, so it was a lot of Bronze Age stuff.
Okay,
right, a lot of that 80s era stuff. And that was just what I really got into. So, Secret Wars, Uncanny X-Men, New Teen Titans, like it was a lot of that stuff in the 80s, a lot of pop collars, a lot of disco backgrounds for stuff. Like it was the era when I first kind of connected to comics. And I think that just sort of stuck with me. But as far as keys, I tend to go back and buy the key first appearances when I can afford them. So, when I can get that great, Batman villain and be like, oh, I love Two-Face, I got to go get that Silver Age key. Although technically, I guess this is a Bronze Age because it was a little bit at the end of the Silver Age, but he hadn't been seen in comics for so long. But I tend to go and just get get crazy for those Silver Age appearances.
Nice.
I didn't pull out Catwoman's Silver Age appearance, but I do have that one. I should have pulled that one. I think it was with because it's a Lois Lane book. It was in a different bin. I realized it's not with the Batman books because it's a Lois Lane's girlfriend's Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane book. And I just recently got this one.
Nice.
From a Jack B mystery box. I got this book. Absolutely phenomenal.
Holy crap!
It's freaking banger after banger. Jeez and Pete.
I'll go and I'll buy those first appearances from the Silver Age, but the reading, I tend to be collecting runs from the Bronze Age and reading the Modern Age stuff more.
What all runs have you completed?
So I've completed the entire Claremont era of X-Men from technically you could count Giant Size, although his name's not on it, all the way through. And I think I've stopped past his end point. I'm now into like 350 or 370 somewhere. So, almost 300 comics in that run. And then I've got a massive run of Savage Dragon. I'm a big Eric Larson fan. So I absolutely love this character, and I've got almost 200 issues of the first 200 issues of Savage Dragon. I think
is that his first?
So it's tricky because Savage Dragon was a character that Eric Larson made when he self-published books. So there are a couple of self-published books called Strange Fantasy or something like that. And they're they're ghosts. And these books are like $1,000 books, even in low grade, because they're just so hard to find. Something fantasy, and I'm struggling to remember what it is. They recently, Image finally got the rights to republish them in a nice paper.
Nice.
And so I've got the reprints. They're great. When he finally was able to publish through a company, they did this printing of Megaton. And this was through a company. I think it was called Megaton. I think it was the publisher. And he got to finally bring the character back again. So he was originally called Paul Dragon, and then he became Dragon. And then in the 90s, when they started doing it at Image, it became Savage Dragon at that point.
Okay.
So this is the first non-self-published issue. So this was 1986.
This sounds a lot like Hellboy's kind of like.
Oh yeah,
because Hellboy went through several iterations before becoming like Hellboy in proper comic books or whatever.
I think a lot of those creators had been doodling some of these characters for a long time until they finally got enough clout to be able to publish stories about those characters.
Here we
Graphic
go.
Fantasy. There's One Shot Comics. It was called Graphic Fantasy. Yeah. And I think he appeared in 2 of those issues. So I think there's 2 of them, but I've read them and they're really bad. They're not good. Not good. So don't worry about I need to read these or spend thousands of dollars on these. Buy the reprints. That was perfectly fine. I felt very happy about that.
Yeah.
The writing got better when it became Savage Dragon. That was the stuff that was really good.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he got the bigger fin, right, Damien? He got the big fin on his head.
Shout out Sleepy Reader in the house. What is going on? Thanks for hanging out. And One Shot, of course.
I'm trying to think of some other runs I've got. I've got the all new Wolverine, the full run by Tom Taylor. That's the Laura Kinney X-23 becomes Wolverine. I've got all of that.
Yeah.
I've got the New Avengers by Bendis. I've got that full run. I've got the full Bendis Daredevil run. I've got basically almost from 1 all the way through into pretty far into the Brubaker era. I've got most of the singles for that. I'm working on the original Avengers run, and I'm about 25 issues into that. So I've got the first 20 or 25 issues of Avengers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the original Kirby and Lee stuff.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So I showed issue 4 with the first, the return, I should say, of Captain America.
Yeah.
But I will say I only have that run because of the kindness of Steve Whiting, who gifted me issues 1 and issue 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a gift. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the way this works is, firstly, you need somebody in our community as crazy as Steve Whiting. and he's the guy who gifted Bueller a Hulk 181.
Wow.
He's just that kind of guy. And you know, once you're a friend of his, you're you're in a scary territory where you don't want to meet him because you know he's going to whip some crazy book out and slap you with it. So I right before COVID, I was going to go down to Florida and meet a bunch of people, and Bueller and Steve were among the group, and I was excited to go. And I guess he bought an Avengers 2 as a gift for me, knowing that I had a bunch of the other later issues in the run. I had, you know, first Kang and, you know, a lot of the first Wonder Man and stuff. And then COVID hits and they cancel all the cons and everything is closed. Like, you can't go.
Yeah.
And so Steve mails me Avengers 2 and he's like, here, to get you through COVID, here's issues 2. I'm like, you're fucking crazy. Nobody just sends someone Avengers 2 as like a COVID gift. Like, this doesn't happen. And my buddy TJ Watson had given me this amazing copy of the first Wonder Man, which is what, issue 7, I think. 9? Is it 9? Yeah.
It may be 7. I may be wrong.
No, I think you're right, actually. And so then all these years later, COVID lifted, cons are back, and I finally get down to Florida, and I'm down there just having a blast, you know, thanking him for that amazing Avengers 2 and having a great time. And the last day of the con, I noticed that there's a lot of people kind of lingering around us, and I'm like, this could be problematic. He's like, here, open this, and it's Avengers 1. And,
Wow.
And I'm just like, this guy's crazy. And there's like, the video has me legit cursing. Like, you can hear me like dropping F-bombs and saying all kinds of shit. Right there in the middle of the, like, we're in Artist Alley. I had just been talking to a creator about their book, and he is an A-OK King, Damon. He is a beast. Although, don't shame yourself, because I've seen you do some damage your own right, man. So yeah, and at that point, I did not have the Captain America book that I showed earlier. It was one of the only issues I was missing from like one priority. I was like, look, Steve, I'm gonna make sure that I get Avengers 4 on my own. Don't fucking buy me this book. I need to do some of this for myself, right? So I found a great seller on Instagram, and he bundled that. It was the only time I've done a bundle where I had to like do it layaway style. Like, I had to pay, like, at the end of each month I was giving him, or each week I was giving him a little something. And I got first Black Panther, and I got that Captain America Silver Age.
Nice.
Yeah, it was, the books were insanely cheap considering he was bundling them for me. And yeah, just little by little kind of doled it out over, you know, a handful of months, and then finally was able to be like, last payment, send those bitches. So, but yeah, Steve Whiting is an insane. Although so is TJ the Slab Dragon. I shouldn't underscore TJ, who doesn't do any real content in this. Neither does Steve. They don't do a lot of content, but they are just two of the biggest hearts in this community and have gifted me way more than I ever deserve.
That's
absolutely
awesome.
Crazy guys. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Which I don't know if it's a thing that went out of style a little bit, but I know people still send AOKs and stuff. But yeah, when I first came into this community, it was like almost every month somebody would be getting some stupid, crazy, unworthy gift. Like every month somebody's getting something from somebody, or there were these anonymous groups that were gifting books to people. It was a wild time, and I think it's kind of, maybe it's just the economy where it is, but it's like, yeah, that's kind of gone away a little bit. I feel sad about it.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, the economy going the way it's going, plus the books going as high as they were going, it's like they went in opposite direction.
It's true. No, you're not wrong. The community even gifted Steve Whiting the first appearance of Groot, which is a really great Silver Age comic. The living tree, like this old school Silver Age tree, and it just says Groot, like I'm Groot. Before he became a Guardian, he was like in comics, and they gifted him that one too.
That's like a is it a strange Tales, or is it a Tales to Astonish?
It's Tales to Astonish, yeah.
Okay.
And so what happened was a bunch of us who had been gifted stuff from Steve all felt like we wanted to get him back. It was like revenge money. Everybody threw in some money, and I think it was Jimmy the Geek Aficionado was like, I'll find the book for the right price. Everybody just pay into the pot, and we'll all make sure he gets it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, got to get him back. You can't just let the AOK King get away with that.
Right. So what runs are you working on now?
I would love to keep finishing that Daredevil run, go through some of that Brubaker Europe. I'm
Yeah.
slowly tinkering with the Jason Aaron 4, which I love, and I've got a ton of the keys from that run, and I'm just kind of, filling in little issues here and there.
Yeah.
So those are ones I'm working on. There are definitely like sets that I want. Like I want to have all the covers for issue 1 of Strange Academy, which I adore Strange Academy, and I've got a ton of them. I've got a ton. There's like 20 variants, so I just keep buying new ones every so often. If I can get them signed by Scotty, then I try. Like I always love a good Scotty signature book. So there's some of those where I'm buying not necessarily the full run, but like all the covers for the first issue kind of things. I was going after New Mutants because it's a really great run to collect because there's only 100, and that's the whole run. Like you can get all of them.
Okay.
But I'm running out of storage area, so I've got to be frugal about my collecting. I've got a bunch of the run. I've got most of the keys, but at some point I have to decide: do I just keep the keys? Do I just keep the omnis? What do I want to have long term from that?
Yeah.
Only Uncensored on Instagram with those black girls.
He's speechless.
I don't even know. I'm gonna try to find a scantily clad Storm. I only like, I like my ladies. Sorry. I got all my
Who Dat Comics in the house. What's going on, homie? Thanks for hanging out with us. We also got Read Your Comics in here as well. Oh wait, John wearing a Bronze Age t-shirt, right?
I'm repping his brand here. This is the Still 135 cents t-shirt from Daryl's Read Your Comics.
Okay.
He's good people, man. He's got great content, man. He makes great content.
I'll have to go check him out. That's
worth the time on Instagram and on YouTube. Great content.
Fantastic. Cool. No, I feel you so much on like that space, like having space and like running out. And it's like what like I have a few runs over here to my left that I like forced myself to go ahead and read.
Yeah.
Because I'm that guy that just collects a run, and I haven't like Southern Bastards. It was Jason Aaron and it was based in Alabama, and I'm like, hey, that's all cylinders for me. And then I read it and I was like, oh shit, like this is not what I thought it would be. And I'm like, okay, it's time to part.
It's very violent. It's very intense. And I like it a lot. I do prefer, I don't know if you read his series called Scalped. I liked a lot better, but it's a very similar vibe. It's about a Indian casino and the people that are running it, and a character who gets out of jail and comes back to the reservation, and sort of the infighting around the power plays of that gambling casino.
No, I've seen that, and I do want to read that. I definitely want to, because I know that's like a 60 or 80. That's like a 60 or 70 issue run.
Yeah, it's done. He finished it, and they're starting to produce either compendiums or omnis for it.
Right.
So you can read it now. I've got most of the trades. That's how I read it, because it had already basically wrapped at the point when I discovered it. But great, really good, really cool series. But again, it's not light reading. It's heavy.
So I'm fine with the heaviness of it. And what excited me, like Jason's Aaron from Alabama, and that's where I'm from. And then it was about a town in Alabama. I think the town's made up though, but like the other cities he talks about, like Wetumpka and Bessemer and like stuff like that, those are all like legit cities that like I've been to in Alabama. And so like that's what got me excited about it. But what I don't like is that the picture that it paints for Alabama, because like I've been in those areas that he's talking about. However, that's not most of Alabama. And so it makes me feel bad for him, because I'm like, shit, he grew up in that. Like, that's why he's writing it that way. It's because he grew up in that. Like, I didn't grow up in that. Like, that wasn't my You know, like I was out in the sticks, but I wasn't like in like that.
Sure.
And so that's where it's like I'm like, oh shit, like I don't.
Yeah.
But like I know towns like that. Like I do. I can't say that I don't because I do.
Sure.
But yeah, I hated it.
It's not the entire story, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not the entire state. Like I've been to way more parts of the state that are like where I've been from than his point of view.
Sure.
And so it just makes me feel bad for him. So yeah, but like Scalped, I'm totally like I want to try that. I want to check that out. I heard about the compendiums and stuff, so I'm excited about that. I want to try Wrath of Man, I think is what it's called. It's a 5-issue miniseries by him, and it's another one that takes place in Alabama, and so it's got me interested. 5 issues. That's I'm good with that. Southern Bastards was never finished, and I don't think it ever will be.
I want to say the artist got really, really sick or passed away, maybe. There was something that happened with the artist.
Oh, I think there was like some kind of controversy with him, I thought. Yeah, and that's why they were asking, like, will it ever get done? And they're like, I don't know. The artwork was crazy though, but it matched up really well with that series. So
truly,
I'm very surprised that you read that. That threw me off a little bit. I was not expecting that at all.
Well, if you want, we can talk indies because I definitely feel like after coming back to comics as an adult, indies, maybe even like if I count Vertigo, which I know a lot of people don't, like Vertigo kind of led me to and this community and my friends like White Whale Comics, who I do a monthly show with, looking at indie books for the most part. You know, he's a self-published comic creator, and he got me into indies in a bigger kind of way. When I first came back to comics, I was like, let's see what Jim Lee's doing, or let's see what this artist or this writer is doing. But I found the current LCS I found them about 20 years ago, and I've stuck with them ever since because they're the owner has been just spot on with recommendations for me, and he's always been hitting me with Image books or Vertigo books or whatever Dark Horse books that are like, you should read this, and I always come away with being absolutely happy. A lot of the era that I came in on Vertigo were like 100 Bullets was popular at the time, and I almost collected this entire run. I know it's got its haters because it definitely has a little cultural appropriation to it. Brian Azzarello can sometimes be a bit much to handle. Why the Last Man, absolutely fantastic series. Again, I'm sorry that all I got was the slab. I pulled out so many slabs tonight, I realized.
No, you're good. You're good.
And then I love Fables as well, which I think is a series not a lot of people look at. This is the two different covers for Fables. This one is by who's the cover artist for this? Maleev, who did a lot of that Bendis era of Daredevil. This variant is by him.
Alex Maleev, man, he's fantastic.
Right?
Yes.
So like I got into Vertigo in a big way, and I had to go back later because I was in like generation 2 of Vertigo. So I didn't read the Swamp Thing and the Sandman and the Hellblazer like a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was on version 2.0, which was like Scalped, and it was these books. So that got me into like non-capes, the superhero free kind of books. There's still some that were like, Powers or whatever that were like indie superhero books, but for the most part I was getting into other stuff, which is how I found Image, and I ended up finding a ton of great the Rick Remenders and the Jeff Lemire's and the really talented storytellers doing great stuff in indie books.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So what would you say are those your favorites? Like Savage Dragon and those, Fables and Hunter, like, are those your favorite indies that you've read, or what are your favorites if those aren't them?
It's so hard to pick, but I know that Lemire and Remender tend to be at the top of my list.
Lemire's fantastic.
So like I found Descender, and that is a phenomenal book. If people haven't read Jeff Lemire's and Dustin Nguyen's Descender, this book is wild. I think it's like the best of science fiction kind of stuff, robots, AI, but it's got a Battlestar Galactica kind of bent. Dust in the Wind is like he basically does all watercolor. The artwork is unbelievable, and there's storylines in here that you'll just break down like crying. They're so powerful, and I think it's only 3 volumes. There's 2 like of those hard covers that Image does. There's 2 of those for Descender, and there's 1 for Ascender, which is like the sequel sidequel storyline. This is probably my favorite indie. Lemire is so talented, but I love Remender as well. I think he did a book called oh shoot, which one was the? I mean, obviously, yeah, Deadly Class is great, and I love Deadly Class, and I've got that whole run. He did one called Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, just like 2-3 years ago. That book that'll mess you up. That one's all about like it's like a hitman crime kind of story, and kid in danger, and how do you rescue the kid, and it's violent. It is dark as heck, but it's also like emotionally packing a wallop. And it was an amazing book. Easily the best thing I read like that year. Like it crushed everything else. He is great.
What is that again?
It's called The Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. And there's like the first issue is almost completely silent. It's just this guy, and you're trying to figure out what he's doing. He's like waiting for a bus, and he sees like a dead bird on the ground. And it's like he bumps into this weird guy, and what's going on? And then it ends with like a shocking kind of murder, and then you're like, oh crap, what's going on? Like whose side do you follow here? Now Remender does great stuff. And that Deadly Class was phenomenal with I think it was Cliff Chang doing the artwork in that. So great. So I try to check in on those writers when I see they're doing stuff. Aaron is on that list, obviously, as well. And just whenever they're doing something new, I try to tune in. Philip Kennedy Johnson is one of those guys, that when they're doing something new, I want to know. There's the best book I read this year. If people are looking for indies from this year, and I think the trade paperback got pushed back, I'm not sure when it's dropping, is called Traveling to Mars. That book will mess you up. It's like science fiction, but it's like an emotional roller coaster. The concept is really fun. It's the idea that they are a rover on Mars sends back word that it has found a very rare mineral that all these companies use for their microchips and stuff. And quickly we realize on Earth that there's no really rule to who owns the rights to those minerals. It's all about who can get there and plant their flag first.
Yeah.
So companies start looking around for people that they can launch to Mars, who can get there first and plant the flag for that company. So this company starts looking for people that are dying of cancer, because then they can pay the person to go on a one-way trip. They don't need to worry about bringing the person back. And this one jamoke, this failed musician who's like found out he's dying of cancer and has nothing to live for, they're like, look, we'll take care of all of your family. Anybody who's left behind, we'll take care of them for life. You just got to get on this rocket ship soon, and you got to get out of here and never come back. As long as you plant the flag when you get there, right? And the whole book is, I think it's an 11-issue miniseries, and he's just on his journey trying to get there first and beat all these other rocket ships that are going to Mars, and then plant that flag for the company so that they get the mineral rights, right?
Right.
But he's reflecting on his life and his failures and what life has meant for him. He knows there's no way to come back from this. There's no way. There's not enough fuel, food, air, anything to go back. It's just a one-way shot. Get to the planet, plant the flag. It's
wow.
Yeah. Great book. Phenomenal book.
Wow, that's crazy.
So Traveling to Mars, and I want to say it was, it might have been an AWA book. I can't remember the publisher. But the trade is due soon. I know it was supposed to be this summer, then they pushed it back. I'm hoping the trade comes soon because I want to buy a few and start giving them away because they're that good.
Wow.
Yeah, great book.
That's crazy. What? It sounds like sci-fi is kind of. It sounds like kind of sci-fi is your genre you kind of go towards. Am I correct in saying that, or is it something else? Because like some of these stories, even though they have a sci-fi like feel to them. It's more of like a heartfelt like feel to them as well. Like, so
I don't want to be depressed is the key. So Gore Vidal and I joke about Cormac McCarthy as a writer I can't stand because his books just make me want to die, and I don't want to read that. So what I like about good science fiction is it makes you think about your life around you, but then gives you some hope. If it's a good science fiction, I should have a little bit of hope. I don't want to end feeling like, well, this world sucks, I'm moving on. Like, so I think I do love science fiction a lot. And I think it can be, I got into Star Wars and Star Trek when I was a kid, and I loved all that stuff. I'm probably more of a Trekkie than a Star Wars guy, just because Trek has more hope and Wars has more doom and gloom. The bad guys win a lot more in wars, but it's got it in the name. It's a war. It's not an exploration, right? So when it comes to comics, I think one of the cool things about them is that you can create these vast universes that are harder to do maybe on screen because of budgetary reasons, or in a novel where you've got no ability to demonstrate visuals to go with your story. So, I think comics lends itself to things like horror and science fiction very easily.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, you got any more books you want to show off real quick?
I mean, crud, I probably got a lot. We didn't talk about Frank Miller enough. I mean, we should probably talk a little bit about
Frank Miller then.
Daredevil and Batman. The guy revolutionized these characters, and they are what they are today because of guys like Frank Miller.
Yeah, I agree.
Batman Year One is probably my favorite comic book story, just period. I love Year One. I think anybody can pick it up, read it, and get something great out of it. I think the artwork by David Mazzucchelli is freaking insane. The covers are amazing. I have of course, I've got the Absolute edition. Oh, these are amazing ways
to crazy. Oh my god,
so cool, man. They're huge. Like, look how big. Compared to a normal sized comic, they're massive.
That's insane.
Really, really great. I don't have. Damn it! Stop it, Daryl. He wants me to spend more money. He's like, no, you need the artist edition now that they published that. You need to have. I've got like 3 trades. I've got all the single issues. I have some of them slabbed, and I've got the Absolute, but it's not good enough for Daryl. It's not good enough.
So I assume you enjoy Year One over Dark Knight.
I do, and the main reason why is Year One is continuity, and it's like the story of Batman. Dark Knight Returns is an Elseworld story, and as much as I like it, it feels less like the Batman I know and more like a let's give him a machine gun and a tank and have him mow guys down kind of a Batman.
Yeah,
and it makes me sad because I think it's become in a lot of ways people's quintessential Batman. So guys like Zack Snyder are like, that's Batman. And then they give Batman machine guns and they have him mowing guys down. And then Absolute Batman comes out and he's got an axe on his chest and he's chopping guys up. And it's like, okay, pump the brakes, guys. Like, I know you need a new dark, gritty Batman. The dude's not supposed to kill people. Like, can we just get back to that basic idea that he's not chopping people's hands off and mowing them down like he's got an AK-47? Like let's find a neutral step here somewhere. So I can appreciate alternate takes of Batman as long as we can agree they are not continuity Batman. Like, that is not the final arc of Batman. Like, Batman Returns is amazing and it's cool and it's obviously like quintessential reading, but it's also an Elseworlds story where he's like driving a tank and he's blowing guys up and he's shooting people. He legitimately has a machine gun in several scenes and like shooting people.
Right.
So for me, what I like about Year One is it fills in a gap that feels like it always belonged there. And it is Batman's story. And it feels like you're learning about Gordon and Bruce and Selina, and it's all connected to the journey we know he's going to go on, right? and it doesn't feel like it's just some alternate take that we're going to throw away next month and start all over again with an all new 52. We're going to start all over again, kind of a thing, you know? So like for me, I think year one just feels like the starting point that we never had. And it fits like a puzzle piece that was missing all along. You didn't know was missing. It just sort of sets right in, you know?
Nice.
And I have a few that I feel that way about, like Long Halloween is another one.
Oh, yes.
So I have the absolute Long Halloween as well, which is stupid big. Like this book is amazing and massive and just, but it's so stunning. Loeb and Sale did such an amazing job. And this feels like part 2 to year 1. Like it feels like Batman year 2 to me, more so than Batman year 2, the comic did. This, I would recommend more people skip year 2 and just read, Long Halloween, because this feels like what should have been, you know?
Long Halloween is fantastic. I just started rereading it this October.
It's so good.
I'm going to do 1 issue a month. And I've thought about going live and talking about it.
It's so great.
It is good. It's very good.
And then the other absolute I got is Killing Joke.
Yes.
This was a gift from Kavi. The very first AOK I ever got, he sent me this in it. He's like, "Oh, you got to have an absolute in your collection." He sent me the Killing Joke. It's more of an Elseworld, obviously, storyline, because we're getting a backstory of the Joker that we've never really agreed is the definitive Joker story. But I can't afford many of these absolute editions because they're so damn expensive and they're massive to store. But those are my only 3, all Batman, all. I've thought about the Hush one, but I was able to put the money back in the wallet. Yes, and I think, Eric, that Omni even includes the subsequent stories, right? Because there's 2 other tales that go along with Long Halloween, the follow-up stories that Sale and Loeb did. So I think that omnibus actually includes all of it, if I'm not mistaken.
I wonder, because so there's Long Halloween, then there's Dark Victory, and then they just came out with a one-shot, and now they're starting to do the whole the finale of it or something like
Halloween,
that. Yeah.
There was the, what did you call it? Sorry, the second one was
Dark
called
Victory.
Dark Victory, and there's a third one that Loeb and Sale did at the same time. That was another really short volume, not a massive one like a 13 issue, but a 3 or whatever issue thing.
Okay.
I'm struggling to remember what it is, but those 3 I have I have single issues, I've got the trades, and I've got the absolute editions. I got a problem. I've got a lot of problems. But that's one of them. Yeah. If I love a story like that I've read it and just love it, I'll just keep after it, And I think when I remember going into a shop and I was out of college, I was working and I had a little money and I went into an LCS that I'd never been in, and they had the full year 1 single issues. And I was like, why don't I own these? I love this series. Every time I bought it in 3 different trades over the years. And I was so excited to take those home. And I was like, I'm an idiot. Why have I not been buying these kind of things all along? I clearly love these. And I think that was one of the moments when I sort of came back to collecting as as an adult, and was like, okay, let's get stupid with some of this. I went on eBay not long after, and I got my first copy of 96 or 94, sorry. And I was like, that's the other one I really wanted. I've got a little money and I want this book. And I didn't have a giant size X-Men. I did not want it. At the time, I was like, that's just that stupid annual. Nobody wants giant size X-Men. Everybody wants 94. That's the book. And I went out and bought it, and I was so ecstatic. It has a nice crease on it. And I was like, I don't care. This book is gold for me. This is I own one. And then when I got to making comic book content, I was like, crap, now I got to finally get a giant size X-Men. I got to have that book. So I finally went and got one of those. But it was never the book. It never mattered. I don't know. Something about giant size X-Men didn't matter to me. It felt like an annual. And I was like, it's not by Claremont. It's not by Byrne. I don't need this book. This is not important.
So it wasn't even the first appearances of character, especially with you being such a Storm guy. That's the first appearance of Storm.
for me, it felt like it wasn't the first appearance because this was this was in like some other book. Like, no, I needed them in the X-Men first appearance right there in '94. So it was. I'm not saying it was a logical decision. I'm just saying in my mind it seemed like I didn't need it. Like I don't want it.
Yeah. Got you.
Yeah, and it depends on the story, right? I mean, there are definitely ones when I'm happy to have the omnis and I just want to read the book in a collected edition. And then there's others where it's like, no, I want to have those single issues. I want to have those covers. I want to have each of those separated out. And it's totally different for everybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For a very personal decision.
Let people in the chat and who are watching real quick know like what's the difference between an absolute and like a normal like trade omni compendium type deal.
Sure, yeah. So obviously, like a single story like Batman Year One is easy to collect in a trade because it's just 4 issues, and then up from that you can have a compendium, which is a soft cover that can collect a bunch of story arcs together. So like I have the series Invincible by Kirkman in 3 compendiums that are soft covers. They flex, but they look like an omni in their size, right? And then an omnibus would be a hardcover version of that. It would have, generally they have at least like 25, 30 issues guaranteed in an omni. Sometimes there's a very skinny one that might have less, but it collects all the issues, all the covers for a specific storyline, and usually has some additional material in the back. Absolutes are like trade paperbacks on crack. They're like they're so extreme. So like the Year One is stupid. Like it's legitimately 4 issues of a comic. Like that's all Year One is. But look at the size of this for 4 issues. So what they did was they published it twice. They give you this version, which is like done on a card, like a paper stock, like the original comics were, which have like a newspaper print style to them. So they've blown up the artwork and they've reprinted it, and it includes all the comments in the back from fans. So like you can read what fans thought. By the way, a lot of people did not like what Frank Miller was doing, so there were some complaints. They've made Catwoman a hooker. God dang you, Frank Miller! Everybody's got to be a hooker in your world. So like it's a beautiful reprinting, and then at the back they have like all of the storyboard work, all the planning, all the scripting that went into Mazzucchelli and Miller's conversations around what they were trying to create, and then like original like versions of the covers with plans for how the covers might look, things like that. Really just a ton of detail, and that's just one of them. The other hardcover is a glossy print version, right? On really high quality cardstock, like almost paper. And so the colors look a little different. The paper quality looks different. And you're just basically getting all the issues again. And then I think at the back on this one, this one has some of the like prelims on character designs and how they wanted the characters to look. And I think they did some of the like, it's even got a, this is David Mazzucchelli's like first drawing he ever did of Batman as a kid. Really
That's
cool.
funny.
Yeah, right? So some of these are like Mazzucchelli's own pieces from his own collection, including like his version of a Golden Age comic. Yeah, right? The dynamic duo, whoops. Really just amazing stuff. And then all the different covers they did for the different trades over the years. Which were I've probably bought all of these trades at one time or another. I remember distinctly having so many of these. So yeah, really cool stuff. So
nice.
it's a larger sized format than a comic, right? So like I held up that comparison. Like you can see how
nice
much
reprint there, by the way.
I love that. This is one of the first comics I remember reading as a kid. Like I distinctly remember owning this as a kid. But like you could just see size-wise, massively bigger, right?
Oh yeah.
It has this little like bookmark as well, so you can like bookmark your pages. Just gorgeous, and so they are designed to be quintessential version of these stories until, damn, Daryl in the chat keeps telling me the artist edition came along. The artist edition has all of these cool added elements that really capture the visual aesthetic of the pieces. And I'm trying not to spend the dang money, Daryl, so stop talking about them. I think you could enjoy any of these for sure. I mean, you could buy it again, like I said. I think a trade paperback of Year One would go for any fan. Any Batman fan could read Year One and be like, "This is incredible." Like I can get into it. Yeah. I don't think you need the single issues, but I got them. But like, I think I like the absolute. I've never seen the artwork look so grand, and obviously it's on another scale. And I reread it about a year ago for a live stream. Somebody said they wanted to do Year One. Will you join me? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to crack that absolute. I'm going to read it all again. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
And comparing the color work too. You can compare the colors in the original issues with the newer trades and how the colors have changed. Some of the color work has changed.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at his comment here. He says the colors did 2 versions, one for newsprint and one for a deluxe collection on premium paper. That's why the Absolute has 2 versions. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize that was a thing, that they did 2 separate styles. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. We got another John from California in the chat. What is up, Cali?
Yes, Cali Comics in the house. What's going on, homie? Appreciate you hanging out. What else you got? You want to show off, John?
I'm doing pretty well, I gotta say. I'm cracking here. Yeah, I told you I had some Golden Age. I got one of them here. So I don't collect a ton of Golden Age comics, but when I see one that I love, it goes on the list long term. That's love
a fantastic cover.
Oh my god, right? In particular, I like comics that seem to capture World War II really, really well. And, this one seems to scream Battle of the Bulge in Germany for me. And I had a grandfather who fought there, and I saw this and I was like, okay, well, I got to figure out a way to get this. And it stayed on my wish list a long time, because the challenge with Golden Age books is they just don't. There's not many of them, and they don't come up for sale very often.
Right.
So you got to keep watching, and hopefully, you want to get it. Ideally, I think in a blue label where you can know everything that's going on with that book.
Yeah.
Or I don't mind purple labels for when it comes to Gold and Silver Age, because it lets me know, they replaced it. Like my Avengers 1 has staples that were replaced, right? So it tells me that it's a blue label because the staples got replaced on the book. And for me, that's like, thank you. I'm fine with that. That is a good thing to do to fix that book and keep it going longer. So I don't mind a purple label, although obviously this one is blue. I just want to know, like, what is the condition of that book as far as just, is it all intact? Is it falling apart? Has anybody done any color touch to the cover to fix things? Whatever,
Yeah.
And again, the artwork at this era is just, it's so different from what we have now.
Oh, absolutely.
The colors on this from 1954 to now.
Yeah.
And the colors look stronger than some books that I buy off the shelf today, And this
they
is
must be infused with lead.
Right. Yeah, I can't take it out of the plastic or I would die. Lead paint. If I lick it, we'll all die.
Yeah.
This is a Russ Heath cover. He did a lot of great Golden Age pieces. He is a phenomenal artist. So that's one of my only Golden Age books. I've got an Archie one, but that one's in a box somewhere. Did I have something else? I think I'm not going to get into the Legos. I'm going to stay away from the Legos, because we could be here the rest of the night if we start doing Legos. I'm glad you knew what this was. Not a lot of fans know this one. So I've got several copies of it, so I don't mind taking it out here. It's got a wonderful cover, because they made the smart choice on this by putting Wendigo on the back.
Yeah.
Nobody cares that Wendigo's in this goddamn book.
Even though 180 is all about him.
It's all, in fact, it's why the story is readable is Wendigo. Wendigo is the best part about the story. If you read this hoping to get a really great Wolverine story, you're going to be really disappointed. But I bought this when I was a kid and read the whole thing till it broke and fell apart. And then when I got to be an adult, I was like, how did I read that story? It dawned on me that I had to like find this book. And I went and found that there's copies of this you can get for pretty reasonably priced. But it also includes a few other issues. There's some pieces here from a storyline where Wolverine comes in contact with Hercules.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, Hercules has always had the ladies around, and he slaps Wolverine silly right there, just knocks him on his butt. Wolverine tries to punch him, and it's like, what are you doing? You're punching a god. You're not even using your blades. Like, what is wrong with you? Then there's a whole like the history of evolution of the character Wolverine, because at this point he was in the brown costume, so they go through and kind of like take you through his journey and like, he had whiskers on his costume originally.
Yeah.
But I read this cover to cover 1,000 times as a kid because I was collecting these issues of Uncanny and getting totally
nice.
that. But I had never been able to read the Byrne Claremont stuff because it was so stupid expensive. I couldn't afford it. But I could read stuff like this or Classic X-Men. Classic X-Men was so freaking awesome. So, yeah, I'm always pumped when people know what this issue is because a lot of people are like, "What is that stupid book?" Like, it's like it's the first reprint of Hulk 180 and 181. It's the first time people could actually read this book. So, we're talking like 40 years before a facsimile ever existed. You had this thing,
right? And that's been an alternative. Story. That's been an alternative of mine several times over because I'm like, it's the first reprint. Like even if you can't decide like which one to get, like grab this book. You'll find it for $2. Like,
for sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, they just had a bunch in an auction I was at last weekend. I was in and I was like, bidding on all of them. Like, $5, I'll take it. $5, I'll take it. I'd rather have extra copies of that than another variant that I don't need, right? Does it say there's printings of this? Callie, I didn't know that.
I didn't realize that either.
I'm glad I'm wearing my glasses on this. Let's see. It gives you obviously the era of the original printing, and then it calls this. It just gives this. It's its own book because it's volume 1, number 1 of Incredible Hulk and Wolverine. I think it just says that it reprints the issues. It doesn't call it another printing, like a third print or whatever. But it was the first time that those were printed again. Those stories.
I wonder if the barcode trick works since you do have a barcode on yours.
This is an older barcode. I don't know if it gives you that information. It says it's got a 2 at that end, and it's got a 10 up at the top. I don't know. I've never researched it. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
It says second or third printing, right? I don't see it, John. I don't see it on there.
Read your comics. It says how you first read those issues. Nice.
Classic
Bobby
X-Men
Delgado's in the house.
So Bobby's in the chat. What's up, Bobby?
What's going on, Bobby? Cliff on Comics says, I keep hearing jokes about lead in the ink, but is it really the case? I really just said it was a joke. I've never heard anybody else say that. But
no, I don't think it's probably not real. I'm probably just being a jerk about it. But I do think Classic X-Men is an underrated way to have read those because I bought a ton of Classic X-Men as a kid. And that's how I read the Byrne Claremont, the Byrne and Cockrum stuff for the first time. It's the first time I read any of the Death of Jean Grey and the Days of Future Past and any of that stuff. I read it the first time in Classic X-Men. That was because that was the only way I was going to ever afford that stuff.
Well, and those had like Arthur Adams covers too, didn't they?
They did. They had great alternative covers for those issues, and then in the back they would show you what the original cover looked like, and then inside they would give you 3 or 4 additional pages to like fill out the story by a newer artist. Sometimes, Mike Mignola or whatever would come in and do like 3 or 4 pages to add to the story.
Really cool. I didn't know Mignola did any.
Oh yeah, there's a great Mignola cover to one of those issues. It's just Gordon Night. He does a great Nightcrawler.
Oh, I've got to find that. I love like I love his artwork when it's a creature like Hellboy or Nightcrawler or something
And
like that.
Nightcrawler
Like
fits
it's
in, right? Yeah, with the tail
yeah,
and
yeah.
everything.
No, that's fantastic. I've got to
They did
find
it.
that now.
They did an omnibus for the first volume of classic X-Men, but it's been out of print for a while, so it's like a $250 omnibus nowadays.
Of course it is.
I'm hoping that they reprint it, but I don't know if they will.
Cool. Well, do you have anything else you want? I know you said you were down to Legos now, so I didn't know if you just.
It's dangerous, yeah, because the Lego thing, we could be here another couple of days. I got two. I mean, just for the fans, I did this just arrived.
Oh, nice.
It just arrived today. The X-Men mansion with the whole squad of characters.
Oh. That's so cool.
Yes. So this one is sitting here, and I've also got a new Guardians ship. So I will have all three of the Guardians ships from the films.
Yeah, from the movies.
Yeah. My goodness.
Is that one based off of the like 97, or is that?
It seems to be loosely based off of 97.
Okay.
But I think they're obviously picking and choosing characters they want to throw in, and so it's a little bit their own thing. They don't specifically have the number 97 anywhere on it. But
you're fine as long as they have Storm, though.
Yeah, I mean, but I've got like the Guardians ships. I love the Guardians ships. They come out so cool. They're just so awesome.
They do come out cool. Yeah.
So I got one more of those to build.
Nice.
I've got a ton of the Batmobiles. I love the Lego Batmobiles. Might be the coolest things they make. This is the animated series.
Oh, cool.
This one you can get right now. It's at Lego shops. My Lego shop had a bunch of these. And if you're not a fan of the guns, because obviously the animated show didn't have the guns, you can actually just pop the guns off and get the clean kind of look to the Batmobile.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to lose them. So I was like, oh, I better leave the guns on the car. But a really, really cool design. I love it. I've got, the Adam West Batmobile, the Batman 89 Batmobile, the Tumbler. I got all of them. I like the Batmobile.
That's fantastic.
I try not to get too crazy, but sometimes you're just like, I need to have the 89 Batmobile. Yes. I need to have all of them. And this is fun because like when the wheels go, I think that the flame turns back.
That's awesome.
I love Legos. It's a good way to relax. And the designs are really, impressive. It's even got the guns that pop out, like so the machine guns on the, the movie, like, and then boom, the guns pop out.
Nice.
Machine guns pop. You can, I had characters standing out, so they get launched when that happens.
I was gonna say, I feel bad now because you guys are launched everywhere.
It's all right. Iceman, or sorry, Mr. Freeze and Catwoman will survive.
Yeah. So
that's cool. I loved Lego as a kid. My kids loved Lego, and so like once they got too old for it, then it was like, sweet, now they're my toys. And I just keep adding what I want. So like, if a new Batmobile comes along, I'm buying that one. I'm buying this one.
That's funny.
Telling me. Oh, dear. So you're not wrong. A year ago at Christmas, I'm an educator. I'm currently an administrator for my school. A bunch of parents got together and gave me this gift card school year, at the end of last school year. And I've just been saving it up for Lego stuff for a year, waiting for these sets to drop. And shout out to Christina Payne, who I think I saw in the chat earlier. Christina let me know that the Disney store had a 25% off sale right when that Lego set dropped, the X-Men one.
Oh,
so I
nice.
got 25% off of that Lego set, and I was like, sweet, now I can buy that other Guardians ship that I want to get. So I went stupid on Lego with that gift card, but I waited like a full year just waiting to spend that gift card. So
yeah.
like, yeah, that's gonna happen.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, Lego is a whole other hobby, and I can't even like I've got like bins of Lego all around this room, just containers. I organize my Lego by color, so they're like there's a blue bin over there and a red bin and like 3 gray bins. Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, that
It's a
would drive me
playground.
insane. My son does Legos, and I go in there to like mess with him and like build with him and stuff, and I'm like, I can't find anything. And he's like, "What are you talking about, Dad?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"You're crazy."
I'm a little like I don't want to say OCD about it, but I try to every once in a while just sort all the Lego by color. So I've got it in bins, and then when I want to build something, I pull the instructions out and I go, "Oh, I need these black I grab the black bin and I just sort through to find the ones I want. It
Yeah,
doesn't always work perfectly, but it's coming along.
yeah, I got you. That's fantastic. Richard is
Yes,
in the house. What's going on, Richard? Appreciate you
Richard is
coming
saying
out.
you're at 17 away now. So as a reminder, if you're not subscribed,
Yes.
22 here needs just 17 more subscribers to get to that 1K mark. He is super close.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'll get there eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually it'll happen.
You're on the road.
Well, thank you so much, John, for coming and hanging out with me this evening. I appreciate it. This has been awesome. I'll have to have you back on to talk comics or Legos or Blu-ray DVDs because I love movies as well. So, like, there's so much I think we could talk about, especially collecting
Absolutely.
wise. And
Yeah,
this
man.
is freaking awesome. So, um, let's see. What do you have coming up on your channel? I know that you just started memberships, so like those are open and available, so people should go and check that out. But what else do you have coming up on your channel?
I usually drop 2 edited videos a week. So today I dropped a video on comic books for your kids. I do a weekly video on that. And so this one was on the series by Jeff Smith called Bone, a great cartoon series that he
Yes.
published. And I discussed that. And then I usually do a weekly what movies are available on your streaming services that you should check out series. So this week was all about
Nice.
franchises. So we discussed a little Harry Potter, Fast and the Furious, like where do you find these series and where can you stream them? So every week, usually Mondays and Thursdays, I'm dropping a couple of those videos. And then usually I'm doing reviews in my shorts. And then Saturdays, I live stream, usually showing whatever I got that week or whatever I'm doing. And then every Tuesday, I'm doing Omni X-Men, like you mentioned earlier, with my man No Good Comics. So we're working our way through the. Oh, can I carry it? Oh, the New Mutants omnibus. We're just getting started. We're finally into the New Mutants issues. We did issues 7 and 8, I believe, this last week. So it's 9 and 10 coming up here on Justin's channel on Tuesday.
Nice.
I wear pants. Dang it, Ryan.
You
Shorts.
wear
They're
shorts
a kind
in your
of
shorts?
video. Yeah. I do like to wear shorts in my.
And you have special guests I saw in your last omnibus review, or your last issues in the omnibus review for the New Mutants. So, and I know you're. It seemed like you're having another guest that was coming on. Is that a recurring thing?
Usually there's somebody that crashes in with us each week. So we had Zach from the Milton the Manimal. He joined us this last week, and I think I can't remember, is it Joel the Geek maybe coming up this week. We always have openings though, so if you want to join us and read some of those books, hit us up. So I think we've got 3 maybe episodes in the spring that don't have anybody joining us to talk. So we don't like to have people come twice if we can have somebody come for the first time instead. Bobby was always joining us. He's been on several times. Magic Lasso, he's been on almost every single season as well. So if you want to join and you're a New Mutants fan, maybe you have this omnibus or maybe you have the entire run in your collection and you're like, I want to read some of these again. Come and join us. We'd love to have you.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, let me ask you if you know this next person that's coming up on Collecting Uncensored, then, real quick. Of course, this is you, so you know yourself. You're good there. But hey, this has been an awesome episode, and I'm so glad you came on. Next up, I've got Eric from SideQuest Comics, and he was just in the chat, so I'm super excited about him coming on. So y'all come out 2 weeks from now, and let's do this all over again, but with Eric this time around.
Yeah.
Talk about him
He's got a
and
great
his
collection.
collection.
Yeah, man.
Right?
He's incredible.
Right? And I'm waiting for his to be like yours, where it's like, I've got however many books around me, you just
keeps
kind of
going.
point me in a direction.
You pulled all the books.
Right. Yo, thank you so much again, John. Like I said, I'm going to have you back on. I greatly appreciate you, man. Fantastic
man.
stuff.
Absolutely.
Great, amazing books. Yo, if y'all don't know John for whatever reason the case may be, the link for him is down in the description below for his YouTube channel as well as his Instagram. So be sure to go follow him on both, sub him up, and go show him some love. Thank y'all so much in the chat for hanging out with us evening. I greatly appreciate y'all. And as always, y'all have a good one.